it hurts. And I'm too sexy for Milan, too sexy for Milan, New York and Japan.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to this week's episode of Doing It with Styles. And for all of you who watch on a regular basis, I'm terribly sorry. And for those of you who don't watch, you are the lucky ones. However, you're going to miss out today because I have two fantastic guests from the other side of the earth, the bottom part where they all stand upside down and got those 8.5 foot spiders and these huge critters that are out to kill you all the time. But they do have koalas and they do have kangaroos. So if you haven't already guessed, I have two guests from down under in Brisbane. I have Marie Ferguson and Felicia Lee from Awaecnian Academy. Is that correct, ladies?
Awaecnian Academy, yes. Good
Okay.
job, John.
And so, can you tell us a little bit about the academy? How did it come about? What is it all about?
Beautiful. Well, it originally started with a call out to the Facebook world when I was just seeking connection. And I was like, if I was to start a school, art school, who would join me? And beautiful Felicia, who we worked with in another school, because we were teachers in a past life, but still doing it at the core. She answered. She's like, I would. And then we just started working together. And then she came up with this beautiful concept of what Awaecnian means. And I'll pass it over to her because, yeah, it's this beautiful vision and feeling that she had with that word.
So it's all her fault.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I will take ownership 100%. So Awaecnian is actually the original Latin term to awaken. But what actually particularly drew me to this word was the combined AE symbol that is no longer used. That there actually means one. So to awaken into your oneness is the actual meaning behind Awaecnian.
Cool. And so what is it?
What is it? It is the coming back into your authentic self. So finding what it is that truly lights you up, your passions, your desires, that authentic self that really wants to come out. I feel like most people sort of go through what is considered a midlife crisis where the world is at their door going, I don't want to do this anymore. I was promised a great life and this isn't what happens. And it's in those moments that we sort of go back to our childhood, back to the, I guess, the traumas and the first people that said, no, you can't. And to really hone in on what that was. So for me, I've always wanted to be around kids. I didn't realize I was meant to be a teacher, and then the teaching world in Queensland is not so great. So it was really, how can I teach and be my authentic self when the environment doesn't sustain that? And it's in recognizing those aspects of who we are at our core, our human design, all of the little bits and pieces that make up the individual, and really making that your driving force to take the steps into your future.
And the Academy has this beautiful piece of connection, community, and creativity at its core. So we work with adults, whether they're teachers, mentors, facilitators, coaches, guides, shamans, who have this foundation of connection, creativity, coming back to that oneness that Flea was saying, and want to impart their knowledge and their wisdom to others, whether it's adults, parents, people that are listening, people that are searching, because we as the role models have a big mission on our hearts to be the bridge, to be the leaders, to be the game changers for our children, for the future leaders. And so, this academy is not only something that is created for young people, but it's also created for communities. And we also have events that connect these dots together. So it has a big vision where, we've just done our global summit, but Flea and I also work in community where we've hosted women's circles. We've hosted events for children in the arts. with this core value of connection, creativity, and community that really anchors in how we connect at a community level and a global level. And this is how we're doing it our way.
I've had the opportunity to sit behind the camera in a number of the interviews that Judy Morio has done, and that's how I learned about you and your organization. It's fascinating because it is worldwide, and I think contrary to popular belief, it's not just a women's group. There are a number of men that are involved, and there is a like-mindedness of all of the people that I've come in contact with. And I love what you said about the children, because I think from an educational point of view, we focus so much on teaching them to read, teaching them to write, and teaching them to pass tests. And that's it. We do not teach them how to think. We do not teach them how to live. We do not teach them how to exist and how to be a human being, a decent human being in our community. And I love that. That's one of the things that you guys are doing, is trying to bring that other dimension into not only the young people's lives, but all of us. And like you said, Felicia, I went through that. I mean, I've been in construction my entire life. In the last 10, 11 years, I'm now doing what I love. It's my passion. It's something that it's not a job. I'm never going to get rich doing this, but I love every day that I've been able to meet people like yourselves, some of the other people, and I finish every day with just wow, that was cool. And so I thank you for that, and I thank you for doing what you're doing. So you just had a summit. Can you tell us a little bit about that, and what is a summit from your perspective?
A summit. Oh, I don't know if summit would actually be the right term, but it's what's used at the moment. The summit is actually, yes, it would be. The great big peak, the summit, reaching to the top. Seeking Sovereign Souls was all around building the connections to actually reach that level of understanding and awareness that allows us to take those steps to reach that peak for ourselves. So the summit and the seeking part is the gathering of all of the professionals that we have brought together. So there was 49 speakers in total, and each one built upon the next. And it was like that summit going all the way up to the point of awareness. And when we come together, it's like, that makes sense for me. That's exactly what I needed. And it's understanding that not one of us can provide the whole picture. Every single person added that little piece to that puzzle that actually made it more holistic. And it's like the teacher we hate in school is usually the one that's not for us. The ones that we love are the ones that are in alignment. And I guess the summit and the platform would be creating the whole platform of teachers for every single person.
Yeah.
One of the things that I thought was pretty cool about all of this was the real support that you all give each other. Everyone that I have come in contact with in this group and the other groups, the Women's Thrive and a couple of the other groups, is the mutual support of everyone that's involved. And it's not me against you, it's us together. And I think we need that right now more than anything. And so I commend you for trying to help push that experience and that feeling out there.
Yeah, I think that sense of celebration and collaboration over competition is something that I've really, that we really wanted to found in what we were doing, and what I've noticed in other spaces I've been in, and the women particularly that I've connected with who have supported that growth and have inspired and mentored. And then it's encouraged us to really bring that forth and invite other leaders who have those same values as us, because I know, Flea and I just love that collaborative part, being artists as well, and being those caring people. It's like, yeah, let's like uplift each other more, and let's go and support each other, and let's give each other, you know, testimonials of how awesome it was to connect, and let's invite others to go to that person's website or Facebook page or support their business, because you just never know who you're going to meet and how they're going to impact you. And that piece about coming together, we're all planting seeds in our hearts, and it's like some of them will like grow and flourish straight away, and others just might take a little bit longer. And so when we can nourish that all together, like it's like the earth, right? Like look at the environment that we get to live in when we nourish and thrive together. So I think that's beautiful when you find leaders who foster that authentically, and the people that feel that, they will feel it, and the others just fall away, you know, which is part of it too.
And you can't help but be influenced by, if you come in contact with any of your group, you can't help but be influenced by what you see. And I have a quick question for you, Marie. Is that a kookaburra?
That's a crow. That's a crow, but
Oh.
there are kookaburras. The birds around here are very, very loud, and the crows, they do like to have their voice. But it's interesting.
We're happy to have them.
Yeah, the crows symbolize like universal law, LORE. So the truth, the wisdom, even though they're black and they can be a little bit intimidating, when you look at Indigenous culture, there's a lot of wisdom in the crow medicine. I know Flea and I love talking about nature and animals and symbols, so it's fun.
But do you know why crows are black?
Oh no.
I do.
Oh, please tell us.
Because they contain all of the colors at once.
Yes, universal law. There you
Right.
go.
Yeah, I just made that up. So
I like it. Let's go with that.
we're going to use that going forward.
It works. But also a very intelligent bird.
But and you know, I don't know where you guys are going to take this. What's your next step for you? Do you?
Oh yes, please. What have we got planned for the rest of the year?
So we actually have 3 more summits. The next one is, I guess, more expansive on the woo-woo and the spiritual side. So we're diving deep into some of the awakening journeys that we experience, especially those that travel down the plant medicine journey, different things that can pop up for us that may be not taboo in, or is taboo in the real world. So that one's the turnkey, and it's for the key makers or the track shifters, the ones that really want to bring greater awareness into our spiritual side and what it truly means to be connected as one. So some of the things that can pop up there is kind of confusing and scary sometimes. I had an experience of being burnt at the stake and feeling all the warmth and the feeling come up my body, and that was kind of terrifying at that point. The following one is a beautiful summit for our mums. It is in collaboration with one of our beautiful speakers, Shika Kana, and it's for the mum. So the mum is Mothers United Moment. And yeah, and bringing together the beautiful motherhood, some of the challenges, reclaiming yourself as a mother, which is really important, especially for young mums that may not have the assistance or the community to help support them. And the final one, which is probably my favorite in November, is the Youth Summit. So this one, we are actually inviting youth onto our platform as creators with our professionals to actually share their voice and to unite the ages in this quest for legacy and building an earth that we can all be proud of.
And so people can participate all over the world because this is an online event. Is that not right?
Yeah, definitely.
So how do people contact you if they want more information?
Yeah.
Where can they find you? What should they do?
Yeah, our beautiful website. We have an expression of interest form already up there. So if you check out www.Awaecnian Academy, AWAECNIAN, it's spelt here, academy.com. I'm glad I popped it in the title.
Good
And yeah, you can definitely put an expression of interest form in to participate as a speaker, presenter, in one or multiple of these events. You know, we've got that first turnkey transformation one happening in August. The Mothers Summit we are planning for, I think, end of October, and then our youth one will be in November. And you know, we're collaborating with different people around the globe to bring this forward. And you know, I feel like all of these parts of ourselves are authentic to who we are. You know, if you are on that transformative spiritual journey, you know, let's open the conversation and have these beautiful conversations that are interfaith, you know, looking at spirituality, looking at people's different experiences, and share that in a really open, safe space. And with the Beautiful Mothers one, like Flea was saying, you know, let's educate, empower, and perhaps in those countries that may be more disadvantaged, bringing our knowledge to help empower, you know, mums and women to come back into knowing that they're not just a mum. There is more to them that we see, that we can open up, and giving really practical tools, and working with organizations as well that want to support you know, the mums coming together and supporting that educational side to empower and to uplift. And yeah, with the youth one, we're working with beautiful Bronwyn Bergen who's the founder of Stars Kids Coaching, and working with her beautiful coaches to come up with our program. And so that's really empowering to collaborate and bring some great minds together, because here in Australia, we don't have many kids coaching available. We have lots of, you know, psychologists and things like that. But I feel like this coaching, mentoring opportunity is another valid and powerful way for families to connect with experts, you know. So check out our expression of interest form, send Flea and I a message, and we'll send you some details. And folks can still, you know, check us out. We've still got replays for our summit that we just did. So if you want to feel into the quality of what we're doing, meet some of the other speakers, find us, you know, and we'll connect you in that space.
Felicia, what started you on this road? How did you get to this? What did you just wake up one morning and go, hey, I'm going to go do this? What's your story?
No. I actually have quite a traumatic upbringing. So I have actually experienced all 6 forms of trauma and all 4 forms of neglect. And with that, I guess, comes a lot of healing that is needed. And when I was doing all the things to progress in life, so I got to the status of, I guess, I'm an educator. I've made it through uni. I was married, had 2 kids, and life just sucked. Really bad. It wasn't pleasant. And it was at that point that I went, well, what is it that I was actually meant to do? I was playing the roles, as Marie said. I was the mother, I was the teacher, I was everything for everyone else but me. And working in some schools with beautiful children that are disconnected, they have no spark for life. It really activated a lot of that trauma that I had repressed. And it was like, no, school is meant to be a safe haven. It's meant to be a community to help them see their potential and their possibility. And so for me, the awakening was in that school environment where all I wanted to do was help the kids. I wanted to be there to be the person to inspire them into their greatness. And that didn't happen. So when Marie put out the call, I'd just up and moved. I'd gone to Gladstone, 6 hours away, pretty much a remote town where there's nothing there. And I started anew. And it was pretty much Marie's message that went, if I was to start a school, who would join me? And I'd been having the conversations with the kids. It's like, I just need to start my own school. Then we will be fine. Then we can explore our potential and our possibility and really drive our passions, because that's when the world will be nice. When we love what we do, we can't hate. And yeah, I just made the decision then and there, no, I'm not doing this anymore. And I came back into Brisbane and we started this academy. It was pretty much our first summit. We went, yeah, we're running a summit. And within 3 months, we'd set up the academy, the business, the website, and we ran our first summit with 26 people. It was actually
wow. And when you look back at that and where you are today, I don't know how to ask this question. It's can you see the steps along your journey? Can you see your own development and say, "Oh, I see that. I see that. I see that." Is
Yeah.
that
yeah.
and that has to be pretty empowering.
It is
Definitely is.
a lot of that trauma. I speak about quite freely and with openness, because it isn't something that I believe holds me back. I'm not in a victim mentality where, you know, I'm holding on. People feel sorry for me. I actually share just because I know that so many people don't have a voice, that so many people are kept silent because of their environment. So all of the steps I actually see as blessings. And I will say this quite openly. Everything that I've experienced, all of those, I actually asked for as a child. I said to the universe, I said, I want to experience all of life. And the only way to experience all of life is to have all of that negative thrown at you so that you can truly appreciate all of the positive. And that there, and there goes my ear right now, that there is the beauty of awakening and Awaecnian, is to actually come into that understanding that these things happen for us, to really connect us to who we want to be. And it's as simple as just speaking your truth, not staying silent when somebody says you shouldn't be talking about that. I was very open with, I have 2 young girls. I was very open with them when they were young about their privacy and their body and who in their family could potentially be a predator, because it happens so often that it's the people that are closest to us that actually are the ones that we feel safe and they take advantage of us. So for them, and I got a lot of backlash from friends, you shouldn't be telling them that, they're too young. It's like, how are they going to be protected if they're unaware?
No, you're absolutely right. That, and I think that that's part of our problem in the world today, is that we don't talk about the things that we should be talking about, and we're talking about the things that we shouldn't. It's just so I commend you, and you know that's a beautiful thing to be able to realize that those negatives are what brought you to where you are today and how you feel today. And so, what about you, Marie?
Yeah, I think about, the journey of going down this path, and in a different way, I was thrown back into my body after experiencing miscarriage. And I think, John, I spoke about this with you and Judy on Judy's show, and these taboo subjects, particularly as women dealing with grief and trauma, are not supported. And I think it's 1 in 4 women experience miscarriage, and the amount of trauma and grief and losing yourself in that process that doesn't get supported or spoken about was something that I became quite passionate about, particularly looking at our womb space, looking at our menstrual cycles and the feminine, that people just go, oh, that's just girl stuff, or I don't want to talk about that, or that's gross, or that. There's a lot of shame still around our bodies as women, and being able to speak about these parts of ourselves, I think, was really inspired by the young women that were around me during this time. And I was teaching in an all-girls school when I went through 3 miscarriages back to back in a 9-month period. I lost myself completely. And these young women who I was teaching, they saw the most vulnerable parts of me, where I just crumbled to my knees. And I remember one day coming back into the drama classroom with some year 12 students, some of these beautiful 17, 18-year-old girls, gifting me this care package. And I just I dropped to my knees with just deep gratitude and love and um, sadness, is like all the feelings. And they just all held me. They all came and they all held me. And it just, and I still get emotional because it was so raw and real and powerful. And it was like that moment of them teaching me what sisterhood was like, what when women come together, when humanity comes together, like when we can hold each other through the darkest times. And that was a beautiful catalyst of like, how can we come together and learn more from each other? Like our young people have so much passion in them. So I've been blessed to be in school settings where that safety has been there, and I've been able to create amazing things with young people, men and women, you know, and there's this yearning in them to be seen, and this, you know, they're trying to find themselves too. And this, and I know Flea and I have both seen that in young people we've mentored or taught over time. But it's like, how do we come back to that to bring people together and invite more of that in? And yeah, I think that was a big spark in multiple facets of what I wanted to create and co-create more in this world, because like Flea was saying, there is still disconnect in many schools and spaces around the world, you know, and kids losing their passion or not even knowing how to ask the questions of like, well, what is it that I want? What is it that I like? And this lethargy of like, I don't know. It's like,
Whatever.
oh, yeah, it's like
Well,
let's invite that back. But it came back to coming back to the body, you know, and we're both, you know, I said we're both artists, but I, you know, the dancer in me, the expression within me, and that experience with going through miscarriages, I hadn't danced for a very long time for me. So that experience of like learning to refeel my body again, learning to find that spark within, learning to find Marie within, had to be shed. I had to be forged in the darkness and the numbness and the grief and the rage and all of these parts of like what Flea was saying, this emotion that is beauty in our human experience, because I'd never felt that level of rage or grief or sadness ever in my life. And that experience for me was like, wow, okay, how do we hold ourselves, not just for our youth, but in our intimate relationships with our family members, in community, you know, be able to have these emotionally intelligent conversations with other leaders, you know, and be able to express ourselves. It's like, can we have more of that? And it can be confronting for many people.
That's the truth. Um,
mhm.
it's I appreciate the hell out of you guys sharing so honestly, you know, your feelings and what brought you to this. And I wish that we could all do more of that. You know, I don't know of a human being that hasn't had some kind of trauma, and you know, we see it every day, and we try to ignore it. We try to hide it. You know, how you doing? Oh, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. You know, no, I'm not. You know, I'm fucked today. Leave me alone. Um, and I see that you guys have used that to strengthen yourselves and to help strengthen others. I think that that's one of the things that drew me to you guys and what you're doing, because it gives me hope. You know, here we are, the number of people that are involved in what you're doing and the other organizations that are involved in what you're doing is worldwide. And I don't think we've ever had a chance in our history of the world to be able to share that on such a large scale. You know, you could do it with your community in your town, or, you know, maybe in your state, or but now you're reaching out across the oceans, across the planet, you know, and it's just it gives me hope. And you know, I'm a child of the 60s. I'm an old hippie. And so I haven't seen the generation that's coming up now, the young people. I haven't seen the energy or the positiveness in a generation like they have since the 60s. And that's where the change in the world comes from. It comes
Mhm.
from those kids, the ones that have their whole future ahead of them. And they're the ones that can take this energy and increase it and exponentially share it across the world. And so I think that that's one of the great things about what you're doing is you're helping these younger people experience that without having to go through some of the trauma that so many others have gone through.
True.
And I hope that's a good thing. I mean, maybe they still need some of that trauma to kind of, hey, but once in a while. So anyway, I don't know what else to ask. Is there anything that you guys would like to share?
I
Please.
I'd just love to expand on what you said there, John, about everybody experiences trauma in some way. In my experience, I've actually noticed that the most profound trauma is actually that of the very stereotypical middle class family. The expectations of having to work hard to get a job, to, follow in father's footsteps or whatever it is in that is actually the most limiting. Like I've had physical things done to my body that, we can disassociate from, we can disconnect from that. But that mentality of lack and limitedness is profound. And that there is what is taking the hope and the joy from those children. It's oh, you have to get a job. You come from a middle class family, you're never ever going to be that superstar, that celebrity. Like that is so limiting to our potential, because for those young people that are the singers and dancers and the creatives of the world, it tells them that because of their status, they cannot strive for greatness. And it's profound because it's so simple, and most people are so unaware of the impact of just saying, oh, just get a job like dad did, following father's footsteps, or just be a mum. It is so condensing to our society and to our population, because it says that we're not special. It says that you just have to follow in the circumstances of your conditions. And for me, that is the biggest trauma that we are facing today in society.
Yeah.
The game is rigged. The game is rigged against us, and
Mhm.
we are um, we are more concerned with who's going to be on Dancing with the Stars this week than we are our upcoming elections. Uh,
Mm.
we're the guy behind the curtain is running the show, and we're not supposed to see that. That's what I was meaning about the young people. They're starting to realize that this isn't my life. This is
And,
not going to be my life. I'm
and
not.
John,
Yes.
yeah, I was to add to what you're saying. When we notice this game that is being played and flip that switch and go, hang on a second, who's the main player in this game? That's me. If I can change how I see the world, then I get to change everything. Because if we reclaim that we are the stars of our own show with humbleness, but also the greatness of who we are, and we realize that this arena, this stage, this life, this is our stage to remember who we are, to remember the light within us, to remember the power that we have in all of these lives, these pieces of lack, scarcity, slavery, these bonds, these chains, they get to break because we are choosing to break them. And this mastery that Flea was talking about at the beginning of coming back to self and remembering who we are, that's the key thing for us to then manifest and create the reality that we are born to create. And this piece about owning all of ourselves, coming back to remembering who we are, claiming our sovereignty. And this summit we had was seeking sovereign souls. And all of these speakers came back to like, how do we understand self? This self mastery is the key. And so Flea and I are like, well, What if we did this with our youth earlier? These bonds get to be broken earlier. And when we look at epigenetics and our lineage, our DNA can hold up to 14 generations of trauma and gifts. Imagine if all the pieces that we just dissolved of the trauma and embraced the gifts of all of the lineages of past, then our future also gets to benefit in the now. So when we embrace who we are now, all of the past, all of the future gets to be healed, because everything, if you look at the universe, is in the eternal now. And this is a whole other level of looking at quantum physics and time, space, or whatever. And this might be in our next summit that we speak into, but coming back to the heart now, coming back to the present now, coming back to the breath now, coming back to the body now, and your feelings now, that is what matters. And this is the presence of when you enjoy that time with your family, enjoy a good conversation like this, where you stop to listen and absorb what it is that might be in the summit that we just had. There might be these gems that are like, oh, I needed to hear that today.
And it might just be that one little piece of information that unlocks that for you. I don't know if you're familiar with a book called What the Bleep Do We Know? Which, okay. All right, then you understand. And that's kind of, that helped start me on my journey as well. But and also, I'm a huge science fiction fan. I mean, I love it. I mean, you can see up on my wall, I got a whole bunch of pictures of Star Trek characters. But one of my favorites was Dune. I don't know if you're familiar with that, the books. I know the movies just come out, but Frank Herbert wrote a series of books, and there was a group of characters in there called the Bene Gesserit. They were a future version of nuns, and part of what the females of the species had the ability to remember all of their ancestors. On the female side, they had all of their memories, all of their experiences, all of their talents, and with each generation, it built. I mean, I'm oversimplifying it by hugely, but hearing you say that, that's right out of Frank Herbert's book. I mean, and that was there, is that we, and part of it was that we are all capable of that if we can take the time and stop and pay attention to what we're doing, what is around us, and our perception of our reality is so limited. I mean, in the spectrum of light and sound, we only see and hear a small portion of it. So if we could expand that, what the hell is really out there that we haven't tapped into yet? So anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to get carried away there.
No, you're spot on with that one, John. And the expansiveness of that situation is that a few months ago, I said to Marie, it's like this great big awareness came in. And it was like, you are me and I am you. And there is no actual difference. So right now we're actually having a conversation with ourselves.
Yes.
Because every single person is a reflection of the version of us we want to be. Or they're a mirror, which is then showing us what we don't want.
Right.
And that simple understanding of our perception of that reality of like, okay, this is actually what I'm seeking, and that's why I'm friends with this person. Or that's actually what I really truly want to avoid because I've experienced that and I don't like it. Then that's the polar opposite of this beautiful world, of duality. And when we can come into that awareness that every single person we interact with, one, it's their first time in this life as well. So we only have the experiences we know. But two, they are here to show us and teach us exactly what we want to come into that fullness of self. Whether that's to, like Marie, step into your power and to speak your truth. That is something, being on a platform like this and sharing my story was something I had never done before. I did not want to go live. I had no thought of being heard or seen or anything until I met Marie. And then it's like, oh, this little challenge to get on a live. It was like, wow, that's huge. What can I do with that? And And then the vice versa with enemies, it's like, now I understand exactly why they were in my life, because I was not actually owning my truth. I was avoiding it at all costs, trying to be the people pleaser. And therefore, these people kept being attracted to me because I was giving them exactly what they wanted to fulfill them. And then that awareness was like, okay, now I know where I have to pull back my power, pull back my authentic self, who to interact with and who not to interact with. And it really allows a greater sense of trust within our body to then understand why we feel icky around certain people, or why we, are particularly excited in different situations. That there is our true soul coming forth. And that has been masked a lot by those roles and those perceptions generally of the middle class and the working class society.
I go around my life, and I see in people what I call that little spark that you just recognize. You may meet them for the first time, or you just have an immediate connection because they have that spark that you've noticed and they've noticed in you, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can't force it, you can't fight it. It's there, and you have that immediate connection. And uh, like I said, it's we all think we're out here all alone by ourselves, and it's us against the world. And that is so far from the truth of what there is here for us to experience. And, it's just, it boggles the mind. It just freaks me out sometimes. And, you talk to some people and they go, whoa, and I love your term. I have the same terminology for it, and that's the woo-woo stuff. And it's there are those people that you can't help but love. You just for whatever reason, and you want to hang around with them, and you want to be in their company because they are showing you what is possible within ourselves, and how we can, reach out and not be isolated in this world. And maybe that's why we're here, is to learn that and to experience that. And maybe not everybody's going to learn it for a long, long time, but I see more and more and more of it happening. And say what you want about the internet and all of the social media and all the bullshit that goes along with it, but there are those sparks out there that are, just increasing the awareness of the potential that we have. So anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah. So well said. Love it.
And I have to tell you, the first video that you sent to me to put up on the platform, when I started watching it, Felicia, you broke my heart. I was almost crying listening to your story, and seeing how you have gone from that to this is just, just makes me very happy. So cool. Good on you, mate.
I could talk for hours on all of this quantum physics, dynamics, going into the sci-fi and movies and all of the beautiful stuff.
Yeah,
it is that.
Yeah. And it's like time flies when you're having fun. And it's almost 7:00 in the morning there, right? Okay, and it's
Definitely.
almost 3:00 here. We should probably wrap this up. I know Marie, you have to get ready to go to school and influence all of those little minds and just make the world a better place. I know that Carrie and Christy are going to be calling you. They are trying to schedule you to be a guest on their show. Those are the teachers.
Yeah.
And if you watch their show, I sit back here during their show and I'm just flabbergasted, because I don't think that the average person has any idea what a teacher goes through on a day, and how how little time they actually get to spend teaching the kids, and all the other crap that they have to do.
Yeah.
And anyway, that's but
Yeah.
I'll be calling you. Anything else you'd like to share before we wrap this up today?
Oh, look, just come and connect. Like we've spoken about that spark within and the people that you just become magnetized to. And if anyone that's listening is like, oh my gosh, I need to just come and chat with you, we're always keen for a conversation, and we love connecting with new people. And like that inner spark within us, we always love to just invite that in others, whether it's the adults, the teachers, the leaders, the mentors, the facilitators, and the young people. If you're a parent listening in and you're like, wow, I actually feel like this would be a beautiful idea for my teen or my young person, to share their thoughts, their feelings, how they want to change the world. Let's invite that in, because their voice matters. Our voice matters. And if we can come into platforms like this and have conversations and invite more of that in the world, an idea can change the world, so let's invite more sparks and connect the dots. So yeah,
I can dig it. Anything else,
I'd
please?
I'd just like to say, for those people that are finding it difficult to forgive, remember the forgiveness is actually in forgiving that you weren't aware. You can only know what you know. So it's not forgiving another person for things that they have done to you. Could be parents, could be partners, whatever it is. The forgiveness is actually for yourself and for that lack of awareness and understanding that we had.
Beautiful.
Okay. Well, ladies, thank you so much for doing this. I was really looking forward to it. And now I know why. And we need to do this again. And I'm looking forward to your next video. And for all you out there that are watching, I really sincerely thank you for supporting the studio, the station, the shows, my show, all the other shows. And just remember, if you're going to do it with styles.
Nice work, John.